2.2. If you combine both CVs, it will be 3.33. Okay, and then of course you expand it, sama juga 6.53. Dekat sini konsep MU kat sini dah lebih jelas. Kita tengok sebenarnya MU seperti cakap is about the long term SD kan. If you have the value, if you have the knowledge of the long term SD for that particular system, automatically you have about more than 80% of the MU data already. The factor from the SD tu dah cukup besar untuk kita jadikan dia sebagai komponen, salah satu komponen dalam MU assessment. But still, if you use the QC software assessment, still 8.7% of difference is more than our combined SD, our combined expanded SD from the Unity software. So now with the example number 2, also from Puan Lela, we have 2 different results from one patient. Okay, in this case is after 1 month kan. After 1 month of the first value which has been obtained, dia datang with the second one, but the first one is 32 and the second one is 65. But for me, obviously this is 100% of increment. Saya terus cakap berbeza lah. Tapi it's okay, we just follow the example lah. Pihak mama telah menggunakan analyzer yang sama, in this case sama analyzer. Okay, analyzer random, apakah berlaku perubahan signifikan? So in this case it's look like the RCV is more what they call relevant to be compared lah dengan data yang kita dapat tu, the difference. So okay, in this case the CVI, we have the EFLM data for our own lab. Okay, we have the table, our specific table for EFLM data, which can be used as a CVI, and then we calculate the RCV. Okay, and then the CVA, we just combine from 2 analyzers tadi, from 2 data. So in this case we have the SD 2.45 combined with 2.25. Okay, 2.45. Okay, with 2.25 with the both analyzers for level 1. And then at the end the same, we have 3.3% of CV. Then we use the standard formula of RCV. Okay, square root 2 darab Z 1.96. Okay? Of course the magic number always 2.78 times our square root of CVI dengan CVA lah. And then we have the value of RCV is about 28%. And of course in our perbezaan tadi almost 100% kan, saya cakap kan. So for me obviously memang significant difference lah, because the RCV only allows us with 28% of difference. So and then we compare the EBV 3.14 and then melebihi RCV sebab kita ada formula juga 0.33 CVI, and then we know peningkatan melebihi yang dibenarkan. So at the end our conclusion is significantly different. So this is how we implement the RCV and MU in our what we call it chemical pathology lab, based on our experience. And then just to show you this is one of the Excel template that we use in Selayang to calculate our MU. So in this case we have the data from Unity. Okay, so in this case okay, in Selayang our approach is to extract the bias from our Unity software, because the justification is we have the what do you call it enough peer numbers to represent what do you call it as a peer number of the peer in our comparison of data. So it can be from EQA, tak ada masalah kalau you ambil daripada EQA, but since we are really we really have what do you call it the QC software, a reliable QC software in our Makmal, and then if we look, for example, here, our peer the points from the peer is 67,000, but for some reason the n is not here. I think the n number should be more than 20 to have this number 67. Maknanya ada more than 20 lab which is act as your peer, use the same methodology, okay, this to use the same QC lot number, same what do you call it, but reagent load might be different here, but still you have the enough number from your peer to be considered as the bias. So that's why we have we included the data from our QC software, what peer data as our to represent our bias. Okay, so then we can easily got the bias from our QC software, and then we also have the enough number, more than, it's about 192 data from January till June 2021 with a mean of 67 SD 1.13. So we just key in the data in our Excel template. This Excel template has been what we call, we declare this Excel template in our WI document to be used as part of our MU document or calculation. And at the end, we have the standard SD from this calculation, which is 1.03 unit. So the mean is 67. So the standard uncertainty imprecision is 1.03. And then we have declared the bias is 1.79, which is from our peer group comparison from our QC software. So we just, of course, it's a difference between our mean with the peer means. So we have bias of say 1.79. Then, of course, with the ratio analysis, okay, the bias we divide with the imprecision, and should be, if we more than 10% is considered significant. But in this case, yes, the bias is more than 10% of imprecision. So we need to include the factor, the bias factor, as well as with SD factor to have our MU to be included in our MU formula. So it's a square root of SD factor with the bias factor. Okay, then we have 2.07 unit, and of course to expand it, okay, we times 1.96, up to you. You can times by 2. Anyway, it will represent a 95% of confidence. And automatically we just calculate the range based on the expanded SD that we got. So anyway, the lower limit will be 63, and the upper limit with 7 is 71. So the CV of the standard MU is 3.1, and the expanded ones will be 6. So we will produce our MU data for level 1. The expanded SD will be 4.05 with the expanded CV of 6% of CV. Okay. The same goes with the level 2, they punya calculations. So it's really simple like this. But back to the practicality, the most important thing is the reliability of your long-term SD And if you include the bias in your calculations, and of course, the reliability of your bias data. And in future, and of course, we need to consider the uncertainty of calibrator, okay, to be incorporated in our MU formula. Okay, I think any other document I would like to show? Jap.
Cik Amin,
Okay.
boleh dengar ke suara?
Boleh, boleh.
Okay. Saya nak tanya regarding example 2 tu.
Example 2. That's on my slide kan?
Betul.
Okay, example 2. Okay,
Sebab
RCV.
Sebab tadi saya termiss sikit part RCV yang ada apa ni? Yang Cik Amin explain tu.
Okay.
Okay, untuk example ni mula-mula kita akan kira kita nak tengok perbandingan the difference between two result tu significant or not based on RCV kan.
Yes.
And then the following slide tu tengok dia compare dengan 0.33 CVI from the biological variation. So sebenarnya kalau untuk kita punya in practice kan, kita nak kira menggunakan RCV ataupun 0.33 CVI ni sebenarnya reflect RCV ke sama ke? Dia adakah dia sama ataupun boleh maksudnya in what scenario kita kena kira menggunakan 0.33 CVI and apa yang kita in what scenario kita guna RCV tu.
So honestly, I'm used with this approach. You know, maknanya which is saya akan kira RCV based on the standard formula 2.78, the magic number, and then we just multiply with the CVI, the square root of CVI plus CVA tu kan. So in this case, kita dapat 27.97, betul? Kan? In this case, okay. And then of course, we just compare the RCV values yang kita dapat kat sini with the difference between two consecutive result yang kita dapat tadi, which is 103% difference kan. So for me, if the difference of two consecutive result is more than the RCV, so for me that is considered significantly difference. I mean that I'm used with the RCV, but based on the Puan Lela punya konsep ni, dia bandingkan dengan 0.33 CVI daripada BV, because the 0.33 CVI sama dengan 3.14 ni kan, peningkatan 103 more than 3.4. For me this is a bit confused lah kan, kalau kita compare dengan 0.33 CVI. Sebab kenapa konsep 0.33 CVI ni? Sebab 0.33 CVI ni is what you call it, because in Selayang punya, kalau Dr. Ma perasan, di Selayang punya what you call it, jadual quality spec kami ada satu kolom dekat Excel tu yang kami state what is the long term CV, which is we just multiply the factor of 0.33 dengan CVI yang kita dapat daripada EFLM.
Okay.
So this is also one of the parameter if you want to simply judge the RCB. It's a bit complicated, but for me the most relevant explanation to explain ataupun to how we would like to implement the RCV in our based on this situation is just to compare our RCV calculation with the percentage of difference from two consecutive result. I mean this is really macam mana kita nak buat lah sebenarnya as compare with the 0. Because I'm afraid the 0.33 CVI ni, because anyway, this has been in WI of Hospital Selayang. As I told you, it will be revised very soon. Okay, sebab Puan Ella and of course with chemical pathologists before, they have some justification to include this factor as one of the parameter to judge kita punya long term QC. But for me, in more scientific way, it should be enough to compare the RCV data dengan perbezaan percentage of two consecutive result. Betul mah?
Okay, thank you.
Saya takut nanti misdirection. Yes.
Pasal yang 0.33 CI tu, dia adalah formula dekat Selayang kita atau widely used?
No, I'm very sorry because until now, I try to get this answer from, our retired biochemist tu lah. But unfortunately, tak ada jawapan. But for sure, the concept of 0.33 CVI to represent the long-term QC data is something which has been in place for many years. Sebab honestly, I'm not prepared to answer that question because after that, I look from the website to explain 0.33 CVI ni. Yes, there was an answer for that. But still, it's not really, for me, it's not really relevant for the MU calculations because there are some concept of, like what we have, the formula of this, formula of 0.25 CVI to represent the optimum spec, 0.5 to represent desirable, 0.75 minimum. At the end, for some statistical justification, 0.33 CVI is the value can be referred, as a reference for our long-term QC data, something like that for 0.33 CVI. And in fact, in Selayang, 0.33 CVI parameter also is one of the the factor to be judged in our correlation study. But there will be another topics lah. Just to tell you, the 0.33 CVI is one of the parameter in Selayang for our quality judgment. Some of the quality parameter kita gunakan tu. Tapi I'm afraid that it can be changed. It will be changed very soon because I'm in the process to review all the quality procedure related to the statistic at this moment. And of course, at this moment, I'm still waiting for the latest guideline daripada working committee. Then to justify my revision. But 0.33 CVI is not really the concept yang diguna pakai oleh semua lah. Okay. I hope. But still, for us in the medical lab, the concept of 0.25 CVI to represent optimum, 0.5 to represent desirable, 0.75 to represent minimum, that is still what we can hold at this moment. We still hold at this moment. And in fact, this concept has been introduced by WestGov with some of the statistical justification. Sebab saya tak nak kita tak nak misdirection, kita bercakap berkenaan MU. Okay? But still, the take-home message is the long-term SD, the uncertainty of calibrator will be the two most important factor in our MU calculation. So as I told before, I'm afraid that the factor of bias will be excluded. So we'll see the latest requirement. As I told you, Selayang walaupun previous requirement of MB, National Committee beritahu SD cukup, tapi in Selayang we still considering the bias with some justification, with some of the publication to justify. But now, as I told you, kita tunggulah what is the latest requirement from the Ministry of Health. Okay tak? Rasa macam I hope saya tak bagi lagi complicated sebab tugas saya kena simplify kan MU ni. Okay. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan? Nak lebih sebenarnya masa ni. Sorry lah. Nak dapat 1 jam ni tadi. Atau Ma?
Yeah, so with that kita boleh conclude kan kita punya slot kita petang ni.
I hope we can conclude.
Boleh
Kalau tak ada soalan.
So kiranya tak ada soalan Okay, let's say if there's any question lah from my friend, then I will direct the question to you lah.
I'm happy to answer.
WhatsApp or email. So I think with that we can end our session this evening. So thank you again Dr. Amin for the very informative presentation.
Alright.
I think hopefully it will benefit all of us in our exam, in our future undertakings, inshallah. So on behalf of us, we really appreciate for your time spent to explain and guide us on MU. So thank you again.
So I wish all the best to all of you, and then of course to become a future chemical pathologist, especially in Ministry of Health. I think my advice is to read more publication. It's not only specifically to measurement of uncertainty, because we have many quality innovations in future, especially the risk-based quality control. Okay. Many quality indicator for the future chemical pathology quality requirement. So I would like to end my presentation, my session, to all of you. So anyway, Dr. Ma, you can share my contact, or you can ask directly to Dr. Ma, ataupun you nak directly to me. I'm happy to answer. So please share the knowledge to everybody. So I hope you all in future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Amin, pray for us in our exam.
Okay, inshallah. All the best. For sure we will meet in future, and just greet me lah, takut saya terlupa.
Alright.
Especially kalau you datang ke Sayang. Okay, all the best.
Alright.
Have a good evening to all of you. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum. Okay, bye.